Pop Culture Pastor.
Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. Cody, you're Goose in this scenario.
I'm dead.
You're the loyal co-host who tragically dies in the second act to give the main character angsty grief to fight through the second act to the third act.
To the second movie.
Wait a minute. No, if I go down in a blaze of bad opinions today, Cody, I need you to keep the pot alive and maybe sing Take My Breath Away at my funeral.
I can do that.
That was a contractually binding, I'll do that. That was, Jackson, I think he said that he's going to sing Take My Breath Away at my funeral.
I'm here to bear witness.
And I am older than him. I'm definitely dying first.
Potentially.
I don't know. I know Cody's diet, so.
There
Cody.
are more salads and fruit since we have last talked about my diet, sir.
I have heard that Cody's diet's gotten better, but you're right. Cody's diet at one time was an insult to diets. And it makes me mad, too, because he's sitting over there all skinny.
Carnivore diet.
It's good that we're talking about death and Top Gun, though, because we're going to talk about death later. Everyone's just like, oh, great.
It's
Rest
one of
in
those
peace.
episodes.
But we're going to talk about our favorite death scenes, so it won't be totally morose. But
It will be.
I do need to talk to you because this is the news segment of our
News.
podcast, and this is the Pop Culture Pastor podcast, in case you're wondering. My name's Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
And also Jackson, Sir Jackson Chauncey, geek of the round table.
If you feel it, chase it.
Whoa, that was a new one. He didn't say jupe jupe.
He did not.
All right.
Trademark lawsuit.
He gave us the twisters. Dude, do you know what I'm going to talk about? I may or may not bring up Glen Powell here in a few minutes. Look at you. Jackson just has a knack for this. All right.
His middle name's Pop Culture.
Top Gun Maverick producer and Mission Impossible director Christopher McQuarrie just dropped some big news. Top Gun 3's story is already cracked. In other words, it's already in the bag. He says, I already know what it is. That's not just confidence. That sounds like this is a go. We're going to get Top Gun 3. Here.
There we go.
Here's an early appearance from Capitalist Cody. Take it, Capitalist Cody.
Well, this one is more of sentimental Cody. The first two were perfectly fine because you had Val Kilmer.
Oh.
And we let Val Kilmer die in the second one, and he has died in real life. And I think the franchise should have died with him.
I thought you were going to say we let him die in real life. I was like, wait, whoa, how do I
We
get
let Val
responsibility
down.
for that?
You might have. I don't know.
McQuarrie is reteaming with Aaron Kruger, his Top Gun Maverick co-writer, and they've already outlined the framework for the new movie. According to McQuarrie, it wasn't hard to figure out. I mean, it's Top Gun. How hard can it be? Am I right?
Planes and attitude.
You got jets, nostalgia, and Tom Cruise. It's hard to miss, I would think. But this one is about emotion. McQuarrie said it's not just aerial stunts and G-forces. Top Gun isn't just about actions. It's really centered around the relationships that Maverick has. And he does mention that with Val Kilmer's passing, that element will be tough to replace, but McQuarrie clearly wants to honor that spirit.
Honor it by not doing this.
Cody's so not sentimental.
I am sentimental to Val.
Yeah, but wouldn't you like to see them honor him? They
did honor him in the second one.
Yeah, but then at the end of this one, they could have a for Val. I'm thinking a whole new franchise like Creed. What if it's Iceman's grandson?
No.
And I mean, Top Gun 2 had Val Kilmer in air quotes.
He was there. Physically there.
What do you mean? What was that? What's that supposed to mean?
I mean, it was a cameo, glorified cameo.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing so hot.
Well, I agree, but it's not like it was the performance of a lifetime.
It
that
was.
left us
Citizen
speechless
Kane.
and captivated, and that they can only go down from here.
It pretty much was.
Now, if they'd have had Kurt Russell.
Absolutely.
No director has been named yet, and McQuarrie says he's given that absolutely no thought. but he has been researching how to make a Tony Scott movie, which was the director of the first one. Tony Scott's kind of a legend as far as 80s action flicks go. Also, this guy literally made Tom Cruise jump off a mountain on a motorcycle, so I'm sure he could handle jets if he wanted to.
I feel like Tom Cruise made Tom Cruise jump off a mountain in a motorcycle.
Probably. I don't think he made Tom Cruise do anything. I'm sure Tom just wanted to.
So are missions completely possible now?
Totally possible.
Absolutely possible.
Thanks, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is in, too. He says he's in, even though he's busy, doing all the things, filming stunts.
Saving cinema by himself.
Training astronauts, buying the moon, probably.
Allegedly doing whatever his character was from Tropic Thunder movie.
Yeah, but Top Gun Maverick is getting a sequel. It's happening. Does Top Gun 3, Cody, I think I know the answer to this. I had this written in my notes, but I'm going to ask it you anyways. Does Top Gun 3 need to go bigger and flashier, or just lean into the emotional legacy left by Iceman and Maverick's relationship and the relationship he has with Goose's son?
So you could definitely lean into the emotional aspects of a very much aging pilot, or if you really want the franchise to continue, I think you have a little bit of that and you go bombastic with the two young guns.
Yeah. Side note, if you had a pilot call sign, what would it be? Mine's Leftovers. Codename Leftovers, that's me. Do you have a call sign?
I don't have a call sign.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Why Cody's could just be Capitalist Cody.
I like to think it would be Coyote.
Because that Capitalist Cody fits into a Cold War theme.
It really does.
Yeah. Jackson, you would be a sly reference to a Kurt Russell character. Big Trouble.
Snake is sitting right there. So.
Snake Plissken.
Ego?
Well, thanks. Nice to know what you really think of me.
In other news, do you guys remember how there was all that buzz around Glen Powell and Sydney Sweeney when their movie Anyone But You came out, that rom-com?
Jackson was the #1 fan of that buzz.
Were you really?
He was stirring the pot.
Were you shipping Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell?
Oh, I enjoyed the movie, and I thought that was the direction things were headed, and then...
You actually saw the movie?
Oh, yeah. It was pretty enjoyable.
Oh, maybe I need to watch that. Is it good? Is it funny?
Yeah, and you get Brian Brown, which is always a positive.
Who's Brian Brown?
That's the question.
You people don't watch FX, Cocktail.
Well, apparently the buzz, the whole Glen Powell, Sydney Sweeney, they might be a thing, was all made up. It was all conjecture that like kind of the production of the movie adopted. They didn't say no to because they thought it would be good for the movie. You can't really argue with them because it really drove, I think, ticket sales.
Yeah, it made money.
But apparently there was some real life drama going on because Glen Powell had a girlfriend at the time.
Oh, Glen.
Her name was Gigi Paris, and she broke her silence this past week about their very public breakup. One that unfolded just as Powell's chemistry with Sydney Sweeney went viral during the promos for Anyone But You. On the Too Much podcast, Gigi Paris talked about feeling disrespected and discarded, saying, quote, "Just don't make a fool out of someone you've been with for over 3 years talking about forever with." So she didn't name any names, but she didn't really have to. The timeline, the details clearly point to Glen Powell. Anyone But You made $220 million worldwide, largely thanks to the "are they or aren't they" kind of. They were Ross and Racheling. Mm-hmm. As we say. And the marketing campaign leaned into that, as it turns out. So the ex-girlfriend talked about in this moment that came when she described flying to Australia. She flew to Australia to visit Glen Powell on set, only to be told over the phone when she got there that the producers didn't want her to come. How about that?
I think Glen is a big enough of a name that he could override the producers.
Was he then, though?
Yes.
That was before, like when they're filming that's before Top Gun Maverick. That's before Twisters.
I think that he had enough of star power that, because it might have been before Top Gun Maverick was released, but he clearly was already like known in Hollywood as, oh, he's one of the names that is being lifted up in Top Gun Maverick.
He's an up-and-comer.
Yes. And all he had to say was, no, I want her on set.
So you're Team Gigi here.
I am.
You're putting some blame on Glen.
I was going to be Team Glenny, as I have nicknamed this potential romantic couple.
That doesn't work.
Wouldn't it be Gleany?
Sidwell.
I had a friend with the last name Sidwell.
Really?
I did.
R.I.P. Maybe. I don't know.
I hope he's still with us.
For what it's worth, Glen Powell, Sydney Sweeney, they openly acknowledged that they did lean into the romance rumors on purpose to drive buzz because they both had others. They both had girlfriend, boyfriend. Partners. That's a good way to put it. They acknowledged that they did lean into the rumors a bit. Sweeney was a producer on the film, so she had extra motivation to do so. She said this, quote, "We were actively having a conversation with the audience as we were promoting this film. They created the narrative." That sound kosher to you?
Does not. And I will point out, Glen's not the only one that is a single Pringle after this.
Oh, did she break up with her boyfriend too?
Yeah, called off her engagement.
Wow. Okay. So they say their bottom line from her, it wasn't a scandal. It was a strategy and it worked. But what we're seeing is that it had a real human cost. So my question is, where is the line between savvy marketing and personal betrayal? Did this fake dating for promo go too far? Is this beyond the pale?
If there's anything wrestling's taught us, that kayfabe is a thing, but oftentimes the lines get blurred between reality and kayfabe, and it sounds like the lines got blurred here, and so you can just say, we had fun making this movie together. That's all you need to say.
But that's kind of what they were saying. They were being coy.
But also say, I'm happily engaged, and I'm happily dating this lady for the past 3 years.
Yeah, but okay. But then you're totally shooting down the marketing strategies.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like,
you're saying
either the movie will work as a rom-com, which rom-coms typically work.
Well, hold on now,
Do
though.
they?
Yes.
This is more complex than that, because this movie definitely doesn't make $240 million if they're not rumored to be dating.
I think it makes close to that.
No.
With
I
Sydney
disagree.
Sweeney, she was already a big item before this movie, so don't give me that. People were going to watch it for her, and then Glen Powell post Top Gun Maverick. Oh, get off your high horses, folks.
I don't think anybody liked Glen Powell in Top Gun Maverick
Oh.
and Twisters more than me, except for maybe Jackson. But I didn't see this movie.
I didn't see this movie, but people that like rom-coms did.
Okay, let me ask a different question. On some level, does someone who's dating someone like Glen Powell or Sydney Sweeney in Hollywood have a little bit of thicker skin than the average bear?
Potentially.
Is there some enough to go around here is kind of what I'm saying. Because like on some level, isn't this going to happen every time before he gets married? Like with anyone he's dating, if he's in a rom-com.
Quite literally, like, if they're filming in Australia, they're not filming 24/7. She should have been able to get to Glen Powell at some point.
Yeah, the producers. Okay, so if I'm Glen Powell and I hear the producers did that, I'm upset. I'm angry.
Yes.
But we don't really have any comment. The story did not. That was an article from Variety, and they said they had reached out to Powell's people, but he did not get back to them.
He's not going to throw the producers under the bus because he knows there's potential sequel money.
Well, I don't think he could come out well in responding to it, because either he says everything is true and then he's quasi-canceled because of how that makes him look, or he goes against it and says, yes, this was an issue and I hated that it happened, and then the machine chews him up and spits him out. So he can't win by responding, so no response is the only response.
Capitalist Jackson.
But I'll push back on your pushback that a vast majority of comedies these days seem to go straight to streaming.
Comedies. Rom-coms. Rom-coms.
What's the com mean?
Comedy. But what's in front of the comedy? Romantic. Like Happy Gilmore 2 might go straight to streaming. I hear you. This is
part of a larger discussion, I think, because are you saying rom-coms don't go under the umbrella of comedies?
I'm saying they are a separate subcategory because they're straight comedy, like a Happy Gilmore. It's not a rom-com, but you can release a rom-com during Valentine's Day and you're going to make money.
All right, maybe. All right. I think everyone's making some valid points. I don't know if I agree with everything, but this is why I brought this article up, because I just read this and blew my mind. I was just like, what is happening? That's kind of crazy that they tried to market this using kind of the rumor mill, the TMZ kind of whatever rumor mill.
Free press.
And it left like 2 relationships in its wake.
I always feel a lot of this is timing, though. I mean, it seems a little far out to just be coming out now.
You're far out.
Indeed.
Far out, man. Maybe.
Burn notice.
Yeah, it's interesting, but she just talked about it. She hadn't talked about it till now. So, all right.
Team Gigi.
It's time to go play the movie game. You guys ready?
No, because I'm Team Gigi.
Born ready.
Let's do this. All right, here we go. It's time for the movie game. We haven't played the movie game since the last time Jackson was here. We didn't make Doug Hetty play the movie game.
He wasn't ready for this.
He's not. I feel like Doug has to be in studio before he can play.
Please.
Yeah, it'd be too hard over the Zoom.
I would like to rub elbows.
Our fandom of Doug Hetty knows no bounds. But Jackson, sorry, Jackson. I mean, Jackson's sitting right here. We're also glad you're here.
Don't mind chopped liver here in the corner.
Just not quite as glad as if Doug was here. All right, it's time for the movie game. Jackson, you are the guest. In my hand, I'm holding Rotten Tomato movie profiles from a bad movie, a certified rotten movie, or a mid-range movie, or a certified fresh good movie. Which one would you like to try and solve? And by the way, just to let you know, this may be the hardest movie game I've ever put in place here. I don't feel like any of these are
Jackson
obvious.
Actually thrives under the pressure.
Dave, trash is where I live, and I see no sense in changing now.
Trash?
So, rotten?
All right. We're going rotten. This movie came out in 2002 with a 6% Rotten Tomatoes score. 6%.
Okay, go. Next step.
It's like some of my math tests in high school. Next step, second build actor Randy Quaid in a 2002 movie that got 6%.
Is this the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2?
No, but I wish I could have seen that. Come on, Cody. What kind of guess is that? Day After Tomorrow was way better than 6%. Was he in that? Was Randy Quaid? That's Dennis Quaid.
That's Dennis.
They're interchangeable at this point.
They are about the least interchangeable brothers ever.
All right, let's go step 3 then.
Step 3, audience score, 19%. We go up a little bit.
Hey!
From 6% to 19% in a 2002 movie, second build actor Randy Quaid.
Let's keep it going.
All right. Step 4, the first build actor.
This will give it to you.
Eddie Murphy. Randy Quaid.
Pluto Nash.
The Adventures of Pluto Nash. All right, he got it in level 4.
Ew!
Man, I didn't think he was going to be able to get that.
I knew Jackson would.
All right, Cody, you must solve this by level 4.
Let's go fresh.
He's going to go for the good movie. Okay. And I will put that one down in case we need a tiebreaker. All right. Critic score, 90% for a movie that came out in 2009. I saw this one in the theater. I'll just throw out that extra hint.
Transformers 2.
If Transformers 2 got a 90%, we are in an alternate timeline. Level 2, second build actor Jason Cope. Jason Cope for a 90% movie came out in 2009.
What is a Jason Cope?
He is apparently an actor.
Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Good
Theatrical dynamo, Jason Cope.
The audience score, audiences didn't quite get it as much as the critics. 82%, down from 90 critical score.
Avatar.
2009. It is not Avatar. So we go to level 4. He needs this for the tie. The lead actor, Charlton Copley. Charlton Copley.
Is that the correct pronunciation?
Can we steal?
I believe it is the correct pronunciation. I believe he's South African.
Oh.
2009, 90%.
District 9.
It is District 9. We're going to the tiebreaker.
You disgust me.
All right.
Did you know the first actor?
You
No.
played as though you didn't know.
Everybody knows Charlton Copley. There will be no Charlton Copley slander on this podcast. He was in the
best
A-team.
part of the A-team.
All right. Here's how the tiebreaker work. I'll just run through the levels here. First one to solve wins. Are you ready?
So we just blurred out?
This is the mediocre movie. Yes.
Are we out on an incorrect or?
You just keep
No,
blurting.
you just
Okay.
keep blurting. Okay.
Okay.
This is the lightning round. Okay, here we go. This movie came out in 2018 with a 72% Rotten Tomato score.
Avatar 2.
No. Second build actor Olivia Cook. Olivia Cook, 72%. 2018. Pretty recent for our game.
That's a Nor.
Audience score 77%. Went up a little bit from the 72%.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
No, but that's a good guess. First build actor Ty Sheridan. So we got Ty.
Ready Player One?
It is Ready Player One.
Ew.
Jackson wins.
I did not watch that movie, so
You didn't watch Ready Player One?
no.
Did you read the book? Apparently not.
There's a book?
Otherwise, you'd have been more excited. That's like people go crazy about the book, right?
You guys
There's
are
a
just
book?
losing listeners left and right.
I thought you were a geek, man.
There's a book?
Cody doesn't read. Cody
I
doesn't
thought
read,
that
y'all.
that was straight from the mind of Stevie Spielberg.
No. Ready Player One was an existing property.
Oh, well, now I'm glad I didn't support it.
Man, Cody is in rare form today.
When we're talking about death,
it
gets me escalated to another level.
I thought it was capitalist Cody, but this is clearly cynical Cody. Cynical Cody's here today. And that is maybe it works out well because we are going to talk about our favorite death scenes coming up. We'll be right back. All right, Cody. We're here to talk about death.
In all its friends.
Death has friends?
I feel there's an album titled that.
Taxes?
Taxes are definitely amongst it.
This is as serious as I'll get with this whole thing. Because I did want to start off somewhat serious because there is a reason that we respond to death scenes in our entertainment. I'm going to go to Ecclesiastes. You ready for
Chapter
this?
3?
Chapter 7.
Oh, we're going deeper in the book.
Yeah, where the writer says it's better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For death is the destiny of every man. The living should take this to heart. So he's saying it's better to go to a funeral than a party. And that might sound a little grim to start a podcast, but hear me out because I think there's something deeply reflective about death. It forces us to confront the truth about what's important in the living. Parties are a distraction. They're a pleasant distraction. But we aren't learning anything with parties. They're fun.
They are.
But death, on the other hand, forces us to examine how we've been spending life, how we are spending life, and how we should be spending life.
Yes, and sometimes mourning feels really heavy, and sometimes it feels more celebratory.
Yeah. Yeah, like a New Orleans wake.
Yes.
I always wanted to have a New Orleans wake at my funeral. Like I want people playing brass instruments.
I already know what fellow geek at the round table, Pastor Reverend DJ Dangerfield wants, and that is like a Kobe Bryant level funeral where we're all in mourning. We block off the roads.
That's so DJ, by the way.
And
I want someone to, in all seriousness, I have requested that they play Joe Jackson's Steppin' Out at my funeral. You see, if you were a real 80s kid, you'd know exactly what song.
Oh, I'm saying I'm not going to be able to sing that one from memory.
Oh, no, you just have to sing Take My Breath Away.
That one I can do from memory.
Yeah! See, Jackson, we're getting things done here. I suppose all this reflection is why death scenes in movies can be so powerful. It's already powerful and often is the emotional crux of a story. I mean, I made a joke about Top Gun. Goose's death in Top Gun is like the crux that movie kind of swings on, right? It's important.
Val Kilmer's death is almost the crux that Top Gun Maverick swings on.
Not everything's about Val Kilmer, Cody. All due respect, because I love Val.
Are we sure?
At any rate, this is what we're diving into today, but a little bit more fun. Our favorite death scenes in movies. I assume we're going to hear about some ones that hit us hard. I assume we might hear about some that made us laugh, or maybe some that changed how we think about life itself, maybe.
Some that made us squeamish.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Have Cody.
I forgot that Cody's big into the horror movies. So, if one of these is Johnny Depp getting sucked into a bed and a fountain of blood coming out, then we'll know it's from Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's just justice at this point.
Wow. Woo. I guess someone's Team Amber.
All our Johnny Depp listeners have signed off.
Sabotage, but not from me.
All right. Jackson, give us one of your favorite death scenes in a movie.
I'm going to lead off with Apollo Creed, Rocky IV.
I mean, iconic. Iconic and shocking. Can you remember the first time you watched that movie?
Yep, that was a TNT special. I think they played that movie about 40 times a week.
Yep.
Movies for guys who like movies. That was really my first exposure to Dolph Lundgren, and I hadn't really watched the whole Rocky franchise, so I didn't have that investment in Apollo Creed that I would have. But to just have a fight go completely that one-sided, the trimmer at the end after the final knockdown.
When he shakes, he twitches. Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Allegedly, it was improvised to the point that crew rushed into the ring afterward, thinking he had actually been put for a loop.
No, man, that's just Carl Weathers, legend.
Rest in peace.
When we talk about death and the crux and things of that nature, we have an entire franchise that spawned from that night with Creed. Mm-hmm. I mean, Rocky IV and Rocky III, I'm not going to use it, so I might spoil, but I had Mickey on my list too.
Well, it's interesting because I was old enough that I did know the Rocky movies. And there's a death in Rocky III. That's the crux of that movie. It's the hinge that swings on that movie, and it's of Mick. But it's different, right? Because Clubber Lang is yelling, and he has a heart attack.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
And they hit you over the head with that earlier in the movie that he's not doing well.
Yeah. So it's a little different, this one, because imagine you're 8-year-old Dave, and you've gone... This is one of the first movies you've ever seen in the theater. It's technically, I think it's the second one I saw in a theater. And within the first half hour, Apollo Creed gets killed in the ring with the big, bad Cold War Russian going, if he dies, he dies. And you're just like, how can Rocky... Because you know where it's going. You know, like there's going to be several montages and he's going to fight this dude. And you're like, how? How can he win? And
according to Adrian, he can't.
He can't. You can't win. That was the best part about this movie. Rocky IV.
Well, and Carl Weathers was a big name because, killing someone close to the hero, that is a cliche in action movies. But, you expect maybe Carl's going to lose and possibly even lose decisively, but to go that extra step in what's supposed to be an exhibition, and he's just gone. There's no...
And it just makes it so much worse, too, given that, it's an exhibition. They make a point of saying that over and over again, and he comes into the ring with, James Brown singing live.
Living in America.
With one of the great jingoistic patriotic songs of the 80s. Maybe second only to some Lee Greenwood. It's that good. But yeah, classic death scene. Cody, give us one of your favorite movie death scenes.
So this one gets undone, unfortunately, by a movie that came out within the past year. But it might have been one of the best comic book movie moments ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does, that movie really undoes how good this scene was. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
I'm referring to Logan.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's send-off as Wolverine. And, you honestly could go with Patrick Stewart.
Who also died in that movie.
Yes.
But then shows up later in the MCU.
Yes. You could go with his death, but in Logan's death with all the kids and then making the X and I
had you going Robert Downey Jr., then I remembered who I was talking to.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, I know that this is a sticking point with you, that you don't like this, what they did with bringing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine back. But comic books characters die and come back all the time.
They do. But at the same time, Hugh Jackman literally said, I'm done with this character.
He meant it at the time.
This is the perfect send-off. And
yeah, well, how about that? Is it because it's such a good send-off? It's such a good scene. I mean, you didn't even say the quote.
I didn't.
So this is what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
hardcore.
Someone that had lived hundreds of years, had seen so much loss, had contributed potentially to some of the loss of his friends and colleagues, and felt like he had nothing to live for. And by the end of it, he knew he had something to die for.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great scene. Great movie. And yeah,
Boyd Holbrook was phenomenal, by the way, as the villain.
He was. The farther we get away from Deadpool and Wolverine, the more I don't like it. Just as a side note.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a funny death. One played for comedy, because I figured I'd need to be the levity here between you two jokers. But I'm going to go with Bill Murray in Zombieland. Because
that was a good one.
First of all, it's one of the classic cameos of all time, because you didn't know he was going to be in the movie, and you're watching the movie. It's obviously in a post-apocalyptic zombie story, but it is played for comedy. And the whole movie, Woody Harrelson is telling these women that are traveling with him in the apocalyptic landscape about how much he loved Bill Murray. And sure enough, they show up at his house, and what they think is a zombie Bill Murray comes out, but it's him just pretending to be a zombie. And then they start talking, and you're in this place where oh man, look at this. He gets to meet his hero. And then one of the girls walks in and shoots him because she thinks he's a real zombie. And what follows is both hilarious and just perfectly encapsulates what makes Bill Murray so great, because it showcases his comedic timing where he fake stops breathing. He's like, and then they're all sad. He's like, and then he actually does die, and the girl starts laughing, and it just is perfect. Played by Emma Stone. But it's one of the great, it doubles as one of the great cameos and death scenes of all time, in my opinion. So I've grouped mine into categories. The next category I'm going with are the best guy movie deaths, which Apollo Creed was on. So I'll just move to my next one. William Wallace in Braveheart.
That was on the list.
Iconic scene where he, after having captured and tortured, he's yelling, "Freedom!" as only Mel Gibson can. Mel Gibson, just perfect for this. And it's the perfect expression of like male defiance at death. Like there's this feeling of as you're being sad, but also like you can feel the adrenaline start going as a guy that watches this movie in this scene. And it not only, it signifies and symbolizes the freedom that he's looking for, but also the emotional release at the end of the film of all the tension that's been hanging there. And it's this true battle cry of resistance and sacrifice. And it helps a little bit to know that like they give you a little bit of context at the end that the one dude who wussed out at the beginning takes up the mantle, right? What was his name?
Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce. Yes, that guy. That guy.
Allegedly,
Let me tell you.
I'm related to him. So,
Oh, Cody.
according to Ancestry.com.
All right. Cody the Bruce.
Exactly.
So you were the coward that let William Wallace die.
Way to go. Thanks
He
for
had
that.
it coming.
Jackson, who's your next favorite movie death?
Well, I wasn't sure how many of these we would get, so I'm going to go ahead and work in my Kurt Russell right
okay.
now,
Does she die-
just to be safe.
Does Kurt Russell die in a movie?
This is adjacent.
Okay.
We're going to go with Morgan from Tombstone.
Of the deaths in Tombstone?
What?
Of the deaths in Tombstone, that's the one you're going with. You're my friend, Wyatt.
Maybe he's going to get to that one. Maybe he didn't want to take that one from you.
Morgan's death leads to the greatest speech in cinematic history.
And you can't deny that that is the crux of that movie. Morgan's death is the
Absolutely.
crux, not Doc Holliday's.
Doc Holliday makes the movie.
I know that, but Doc Holliday's death is meant to be anticlimactic. That's the whole point of his death. Because he makes, the famous historical reference of his boots
But
being off.
no one is invested in Morgan. Where
Oh,
everyone
what?
is invested.
Hold on. You're telling me your heart didn't flutter
No.
even a little
No.
when he said there's no light. I don't see a light.
Not at all.
Man, he is cold.
You get 2 seconds of Morgan before Morgan dies.
You're the one, Wyatt.
He said, Cody, he says, this berg is jumping. That's what I mean.
There ain't no live and let live with bugs.
Unforgettable line delivery like that. Come on.
But this is, again, when you know a little bit more about how these movies go, it's not a shocker. And Bill Paxton, he dies similar to Sean Bean in a lot of those movies. He's the guy that's been killed by the Terminator, Predator, and assorted other things.
It makes it more sad that we lost Bill early.
Absolutely. And he's just the jumping off point, up to this point, Wyatt has not wanted to be involved. It's, I've done my duty. Now I'm here for the money. And every time anybody tries to bring him in, he's been resistant. And then this is finally the thing that sets it off. And, the movie really takes off from here, because prior to that, the movie's entertaining for people like us. We're getting that environment and those interactions, but this is where things go into high gear. And you really get your Johnny Ringos and your Curly Bills because, he's finally had enough.
Smells like somebody died. Great movie. All right, let's go to Cody the Bruce, the cold-hearted.
So I'm going to go with the most gut-wrenching, take your legs out from underneath you, like shock. And I'm going with the end of The Mist.
Spoilers.
That was on
I haven't
my
watched The
list.
Mist yet. When did that come out?
Wait a minute. What?
Early 2000s?
Yeah.
Yeah, early to mid.
Okay, tell me about The Mist.
Okay, so throughout this whole ordeal, this guy is surviving this kind of apocalyptic scenario where there's gigantic things in the mist that are killing people, and it's not safe to go out in the mist. And they're like hunkered down into a grocery store, but they eventually leave because they're like, we got to try to make it out. And he has this lady with him, and there's a kid, and
An old couple.
oh, I forgot about the old couple. Yeah. So there's a whole group of them. And, well, they hear a noise and they know that the end is coming.
Man.
The gas has run out.
Gas has run out, but they have one less bullet than
People in the car.
people in the vehicle. And so Thomas Jane kills everyone only for the mist to clear, and it's the army.
No!
Oh, like the first time I watched that, I was like gobsmacked. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, did this just happen?
I strained relationships by suggesting that movie to people.
I made my mom watch it, and like
Not your mom.
she cried at the end. She's like, "Why would you make me watch this?"
My sister had an infant son at the time, so that really went over very well.
Man, you guys. I'm going to stay in the ultimate guy movie death category, and we mentioned Maximus in Gladiator, but after avenging the death of his family, bringing justice to the corrupt emperor, and really like everybody justifying everything. So he'd been seen as this enemy of Rome, blah, blah, blah. And he gets like the perfect ending. And it's like the fantasy of revenge, right? It's like he gets everything in that. But it works because, you know, it's Gladiator. It's a guy movie.
Until Gladiator 2 undoes
I was
it.
going to say, only to be undone.
Yeah,
by-
his death is the perfect conclusion to his character arc until they mess it up in Gladiator 2 by pointing out that he probably had an affair outside of, you know, his marriage.
that wife he was so keen on avenging.
Yeah, so dumb. So dumb. But the death scene, as Jackson pointed out earlier, it's one of the he's going with the ancestors to meet the ones that have already gone before him type death scenes. It's just great. Just great guy stuff.
It is.
Jackson, by the way, side note, Jackson has his list written on what appears to be an unopened bill.
Or a bank statement. I don't know which.
I'm a scratch paper kind of guy. I really didn't know what type of list this was supposed to be, so I kind of just jumped around everywhere. But
Yeah, man.
I'm going to steal from Cody's favorite film of all time and use Gennaro the lawyer from Jurassic Park.
The bathroom one.
The bathroom, the outhouse, yeah.
That one was on my list.
That was a movie that I saw probably too early. I remember telling my wife that I don't know that I made it past the credits the first time I tried to watch it when the guy gets pulled into the raptor cage. I said, you know, we'll try this again another time. But that was a movie that, I mean, the effects are finally starting to show their age, at least to me. But it was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and it's a pretty violent death for what is kind of billed as a child's movie. We've got Burger King tie-ins.
You got all the toys.
It's not the only death either. That movie has at least 3 iconic death scenes.
Really like the guy that's like, "Oh, you clever girl."
Yeah,
Muldoon.
yeah. Muldoon that's the ultimate guy death too. He's like knows he's gonna die, but
And
not
is
before.
accepting.
But not before he compliments the animal killer. Oh, clever girl! Like,
Well, and
how cool is that?
I feel like those other deaths, like
Newman!
there's some like off camera or, you know, behind a wall.
Sam
or whatever,
Elliott's
but-
arm falling, or Samuel L. Jackson's arm falling.
That's a brutal one there. We're going to
Yeah,
let
man.
that slide.
Hold on to your butts. You should have hold on to your arm, bro.
But this is just, it's right there for everybody to see, and, you know, just really shows you like this movie's not afraid.
Yeah, that movie was great. That, and I had forgotten until doing research for this. Like, there are several iconic death scenes. in that.
Citizen Kane of dinosaur movies,
And
live
dead
action
scenes.
ones.
And people getting killed.
So the reason I said Sam Elliott first is because my next one is a movie that has Sam Elliott in it.
Are you going Roadhouse?
No,
No. Because it's really sad when Sam Elliott dies in Roadhouse.
I'm going The Big Lebowski, Donnie's death.
Oh no, Donnie who loved bowling.
Yes. Throughout the movie, you get Donnie as kind of this annoyance to both.
Yeah, Walter treats him like crud.
Walter and the dude they get fed up with Donnie at times. And the foreshadowing with Donnie not getting a strike. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, it was that was like Greek tragedy stuff.
Yes.
Like when the birds fly in a wrong pattern. Oh no, this is a bad omen. In that movie, he's throwing strikes the whole movie. He's throwing rocks tonight. And then that scene, he's like not getting strikes, and you're like, oh no,
something bad's happening.
Not Theodore Kalabatsis.
And then the nihilists show up.
That movie's so hilarious, dude.
But it then becomes super hilarious when they go to get him cremated and then spread his ashes.
The funeral that beats the death scene.
Like, first, Walter being like, we're grieving.
Like you took so many men. And Hamburger Hill, and like he mentions a whole bunch of stuff.
And then poor Jeff Bridges just gets ashes all over him.
So great, dude. I totally forgot about Donnie dying in that movie.
Sam Elliott didn't, because he mentions it at the end.
Yeah. Well, it was unfortunate about Donnie. My last guy movie category, guy movie deaths, I felt like this one had to be mentioned. The snapped heroes at the end of Avengers Infinity War. Because I don't care. I think time and repetition have worn off a little bit. And Endgame, knowing how it all plays out. Knowing that they come back. But at the end of Infinity War, I don't know if there was anything more shocking than them just killing off half the heroes. Like, that was a crazy ending. And for comic book readers, you kind of knew that was probably going to happen at some point. But I think that they did the choosing to end the movie that way with that, the abruptness of it, and it carried all this emotional weight of unheard of in superhero films, by the way. Like, there was really a lot that the MCU did to earn that first 20 whatever movie run being just something unheard of. Like, because they were bold. That's bold storytelling.
Saucy.
It's saucy. All right. Do you got any more, Jackson?
Yeah, I do. I was kind of conflicted on this pick, but I'm going to hope Cody bails me out by not picking one of these. I'm going to go with John Leguizamo from Violent Night.
Okay, refresh my memory, because I remember he's in that movie. I remember that's the Die Hard Santa movie.
Yeah, he's the big bad in that movie, and he has an end fight scene with Santa, and he's got Santa down for the count, and then Santa sucks him through a fireplace. Well, through a chimney, I should say. And Santa comes out the other side, but John Leguizamo doesn't. And it's just a movie that came out of nowhere for me. I always try to add to my Christmas and Halloween rotations every year. So I give a few new movies a shot. And this was one that I knew David Harbour a little bit, and I just didn't expect much of anything from it, and was pleasantly surprised throughout. But I think that was just the capper to a pretty great movie overall. And it was something I'd never seen before. And I don't obviously think that's one you'll see again.
Yeah, that was great. That movie was, you're right. For a movie, my wife and I went and saw that in the theater, and we had no idea what to expect. And that movie just kind of blows you away if you have no idea about what you're getting into. And it was just a fun ride.
So is this our last go around?
Yeah. Well, if you want to get in depth, yeah, I've got a bunch, but I'll probably just do them rapid fire.
So rapid fire after this, or rapid fire now?
Your choice, bro.
Okay. So I'll rapid fire a couple,
okay,
and then I will go in depth on one.
Okay.
Okay, so rapid fire, Land Before Time, Littlefoot's mom. Oh my goodness, gut wrench.
That movie misses me. That's the millennial gap for me. I was a young adult by that time. I'm not watching The Land Before Time.
The most heartfelt, sentimental death by Stevie King. John Coffey.
Oh,
Green Mile.
I don't want to talk about the Green Mile. That'll just make me sad. Another guy we lost too soon, too.
Yes.
The actor, Michael Clark Duncan. Gosh.
And then the one that I will go in depth on. So this movie, it's like so eerily quiet until the end. And you get some sign language.
Oh, no! You're taking this. This one's on my list.
And then some screaming. And then John Krasinski's dead. I'm going to Quiet Place.
Oh, man. Dude, this one still gets play around my house because I'll walk in the room and my daughters who've seen that movie and, of course, know him as Jim from The Office. And I'll start doing the sign language for I've always loved you. And they're just like, stop, you know. That is maybe, it's underrated, but maybe one of the best death scenes of all time. It's up there.
It's definitely, it's motivated or has some heavy weight to it because you have a little bit of conflict or some conflict between the daughter and John. Just because the daughter feels guilty about the brother dying and she feels kind of like an outcast, and she's also a teen. Sassy teens.
But they're dropping the seeds for that the whole movie.
They are.
And it pays off in such a big, beautiful, terribly sad way. But he gets to be the hero in that moment, too, which is kind of cool.
A guy's death.
Yeah. Jackson, do you have any more you want to rapid fire through?
Yeah, looking at the rest of my list, I've got Ray the Firefly from Princess and the Frog.
No idea. Didn't watch that one.
Yeah.
You're killing me, Dave. You're killing me. And then
I do have some cartoon ones ready to go, though.
This is probably a sign that it shouldn't have made my list, but the cop from Final Destination 2, the opening scene that gets the log through the cop car.
The log? That one, by the way, I cannot get behind a semi carrying logs and not think of Final Destination.
Franchise has just ruined an anxiety-ridden person like myself.
By the way, that's not even close to the best death in Final Destination. It's clearly the pane of glass falling on the person from the skyscraper.
Agree to disagree,
that's
David.
Incredible.
Agree to disagree.
That's an incredible moment in cinema history.
Oh.
Incredible.
So I did have a couple of TV show deaths.
Well, let's get there.
Okay.
I have a bonus one that's off movie.
So sweet.
We'll get there. I'll go through these pretty fast. I'm done with my guy movie ones, but I did have a category called Pixar deaths. The first one is the beginning of Up, which is the easy one.
That one is
the opening montage showing Carl and Ellie's whole life together, culminating in Ellie's death. And you're 10 minutes into the movie and they're like, what is this?
I almost rage quit 10 minutes in.
Like, that was the moment where like, well, I didn't have crying on my Pixar bingo card, but here we are. But gosh, the sheer emotional gut punch at the beginning of the movie from that movie Up. And even it lasts even farther too for when he hits the guy with his walker, when he's clearly just, broken, man. He's just broken. It's just that movie, that whole first 20 minutes of that movie is just rough. But then they came out with a movie called Inside Out. And we hear all about Bing Bong, her imaginary friend Bing Bong. And when Bing Bong dies, when Bing Bong fades away, and he gives these last words, "Take her to the moon for me." Oh, why does Pixar do this to us? I just wanted to watch a cartoon with my kids.
So this is going to come as a shock, but as a mental health professional, I have not watched Inside Out.
Oh, you should
This
totally
doesn't come
watch
as
that.
a shock knowing you.
Or Inside Out 2.
You've seen every Terrifier back to front, but neither Inside Out.
Maybe one of the most cleverly well done, introspective, mental health adjacent, but entertaining movies ever.
That
And
first
both of them
one
actually.
is very strong. The second one, it could only disappoint to me, and it did. But the first one, not bad by any stretch, but it had such a hill to climb.
It's different, and it plays to teenagers better, I think. But it's a different. But
Jackson's not a teen.
How can you be in mental health and never watch Inside Out? What's wrong with you?
That's how I roll.
Here are the ones that got me as a kid. These are important because these are formative. Obviously, Darth Vader's death at the end of Return of the Jedi, when he's asked to get the mask off him, and then he says, "You were right about me." There's something about a dying parent, telling their child, "You were right."
Some old white guy that didn't sound anything like James Earl Jones.
David Prowse.
Oh, come on. Just get over it. It's an emotional payoff for people that loved the original trilogy, man. Watching Anakin's fall in the prequels just makes it even better. Like, if you've got that whole backstory, the regret in his voice, the final act of redemption, I just think it's unforgettable. But it's not the most formative for kids or the most PTSD giving. That honor belongs to Artax in the Neverending Story in the Swamps of Sadness. Artax, Atreyu's loyal horse, succumbs to the swamp's despair, and it's like it's happening in slow motion. And the scene is heartbreaking and incredibly soul-breaking for a children's film. You're like, why are they doing this? But there was a lot of things in that movie. For a kid's movie, not just the death of Artax slowly to sadness and quicksand, but also the anatomically correct statues. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, woof.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s. I have an honorable mention. I'll let you go first. What's your TV death?
Oh,
Is it JR from Dallas?
I thought you were going to go Bambi's mom.
No, man. That was a little too. When I saw that, I was too young to really get it.
No Gurgi from Black Cauldron?
Nah, man.
Okay, so my TV deaths, and they're all from the same show, but they're all formative.
Okay.
Like, to the series. So the series is Scrubs.
Ugh.
Oh, boy.
So Jill
We're going
Tracy,
Scrubs.
who was played by Nicole Sullivan, she's a client or a patient that the doctors don't like, and then she just dies. But she's an organ donor, so all these people get her organs.
Is this a comedy? Why are so many people dying in Scrubs?
But at this moment, they don't realize she dies because of rabies. And so all these people get organs that are affected with rabies, and they all die. And this causes Dr. Cox to go into a deep, dark spiral. Okay, so that one...
I was told by The Office that only 4 people die every year of rabies.
An average of 4 Americans. That year, 3 out of the 4 came from Scrubs.
You didn't answer my question. I thought that was a comedy. Why are so many people dying?
It is a comedy, but it has these sentimental moments because it's made by Bill Lawrence. So there's an episode called My Old Lady, and JD, who's the main guy, Zach Braff, he cares for this older lady who it looks like she's getting better, and then she gets a devastating diagnosis, but she's ready to move on. He's not ready for her to move on. He processes death and mortality through her death in this episode. And then the most heartbreaking episode of all is when Brendan Fraser dies.
You know, I'm gonna have to go and watch Scrubs.
So,
aren't I? Because Bill Lawrence, he's the guy who brings us Ted Lasso. I've just got caught up on watching Shrinking, which is another good show. And so now I'm like, do I need to go back and watch Scrubs? Because I've seen a couple episodes.
The comedic style is of that time period, but it has some of those beats, emotional beats that you see in Ted Lasso in Shrinking.
Yeah. My bonus death, it comes from a book, actually. Then they made it into a TV series, and it makes it into the TV series, and it's probably worthy of mentioning in that as well. It's The Red Wedding that appears in A Storm of Swords, a book in the Game of Thrones series. Basically, you're introduced to all these characters in Game of Thrones. If you're not familiar, they have a tragic loss. They go to war, and you're thinking, the sons are going to bring it home. The sons of the guy that died, Sean Bean, by the way, because he dies in everything. But that's not his death. The oldest son is winning this war that they said he couldn't win, and then he is betrayed at a wedding.
As
Feast.
wedding feast usually go.
A shocking massacre during a wedding celebration, which leads to the deaths of key characters Robb Stark, his mother Catelyn, and his wife Talisa. This betrayal is even worse because Westeros, where everything takes place in Game of Thrones, is an awful place. It's super terrible. Just a terrible place to live. The one redeeming thing about this entire place is they have this weird Japanese samurai-like honor code about hospitality. That when you're hosting someone in your castle, your place, you treat them with hospitality. And it's a major stain on your family's honor forever if you betray someone that you're showing hospitality to. And so that it happens, I remember I threw my book across the room. It sat in a corner for 2 weeks before I could pick it up again. I was so mad. So mad. And the TV show was a little bit more enjoyable because I got to watch everyone else go through it. And it made me feel a little better.
So which Sons of Anarchy death are you going with, Jackson?
Oh,
Don't they all die in that?
Eventually, yeah. Spoiler alert for a very old television show. Let's see. TV deaths. I'm going to go with Raylan's dad from Justified.
Arlo?
Yeah. He's not a redeeming character. He gives you no reason to feel anything for him, but, you know, Raylan just keeps coming back, keeps interacting with him, and you feel like he's finally going to get his emotional catharsis at the end. Kind of what you were saying, Dave, about Darth Vader, like, you know, that he's maybe going to just truly tell Raylan he's proud of him or something of the sort, and can't even give him that. I can't remember the exact line, but it's just, you know, Raylan, he's already lost his mother figure, and then Arlo pretty quick after, and you know, he's defiant to the end, and it fits the character. And Raymond Barry's a great actor. He that role he's played it 100 times, but it's just one of those where you think you're going to kind of get this little happy-ish ending and this redemption, and you know, he stays true to the very end, and it's really fitting for that show.
Yeah, it's a good one. There's a lot of good ones in here. I'm surprised no one said Pa Kent from Man of Steel, but, you know, I'll get over it. All right, what do you guys think? What are some of your favorite movie deaths of all time? Let us know in the social media posts. Before we end the pod, though, you know what we got to do. We got to go out to the lobby. We'll meet you there.
Welcome to the lobby.
All right, we are out in the lobby. Me with the nachos, Cody with the chocolate-covered goober.
Raisins.
Yeah, whatever. All right, question comes from a fellow member, Geek of the Round Table, Jason Giesman.
I'm familiar with Jason.
From Wichita, Kansas. He says, do a reverse remake. Instead of animation to live action, what are some movies that were live action that you would like to see animated? You can go whichever way you want with this, Jackson. Like, whatever you think would work better. I'll explain how I went about it, but do you have any movies that you think would work better or you'd like to see animated?
So we're going from live action to animated?
Yes.
I was going animated to live action.
Why? We do that all the time.
What?
We do that all the time.
Oh, no. No.
Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats is in development. Like, we literally do that all the time.
We don't do it enough.
You did not understand the assignment.
Or am I trying to play mind games, Dave?
I hate you so much, Code. I'm just kidding. I don't hate you. I couldn't even get through that joke. I felt too guilty. But why? Why do you sabotage the podcast? Jackson?
Well, they ended up going animated later on, but since I was in the bathroom and didn't know I was in the lobby, I'm going to say...
We sprung it on him.
Yeah. Let's go Mortal Kombat, the original.
Yeah, it seemed like it would work better as a cartoon, doesn't it?
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about CGI failing you, and I feel like it would have been more cost effective.
That's a good pick. We got a regular listener named David, who is also, I believe I made him a Geek of the Round Table.
Yes.
So he's a fellow Geek of the Round Table. He loves Mortal Kombat. I'll be excited to know what he thinks about turning the Mortal Kombat movies into cartoons, because I think it would work. That's a good. I hadn't thought about it, but that seems to work. All right, Cody, let's hear your
so
live action. Let's hear your cartoon to live action, which gets done all the time, apparently.
I will go live action to cartoon first, but I do have one that I feel needs to be done animated to live action. I'm going with 2 westerns.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about a western.
So I'm going the good, the bad, and ugly.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking kind of anime style. Mm-hmm. And
that would be dope, man. Why haven't they done that? I'm not good, bad, and ugly. Just any western anime.
And then Tombstone.
Dude, a Tombstone anime? Oh my goodness.
You could flush out quite a bit of side character stories. I might even fall in love with the character of Morgan in his
Apparently not.
might mean something.
I was mad at you, but you pulled it back. Those are good. Those are good picks.
And then my animated to live action, and you'll be like, Cody, they've done this, but they really haven't.
I'll probably say it anyway.
Sword in the Stone. Because whenever we get the King Arthur story, it's usually the lady in the water that has thrown the sword to him. It's not he's pulled the sword out of the stone. He doesn't have Merlin as a child.
I mean, he's talking like the movie Excalibur does not exist.
Like,
Great 80s movie.
it could be redone. And
of course it could be redone.
I want it to be done exactly like Sword in the Stone.
It's so trippy, though. And Patrick Stewart's in it.
Yes.
You want it to be done exactly like Sword in the Stone?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, he does pull Excalibur from the stone in Excalibur.
This is like the only King Arthur movie that happens, I feel.
All right.
And then people will be like, no, it happened in this and that. But there's so many ladies in the water just throwing swords, and
It's no way for a representative form of government. I'm told.
exactly.
Okay. When I first looked at this question, I thought of the Spider-Verse movies, because if you had tried to do those as live action, they wouldn't be nearly as good. So I tried to use that as a template. Like, what movies could stand to have been improved by being animated?
All the X-Men.
Possibly, but we got an X-Men
I know.
90s series.
That's why
so-
I didn't say it.
Yeah. I'm going to stick in the superhero genre first with 2 movies that were pretty disappointing to me personally. And just so we're clear, my problem was due in large part to the writing, not so much visual. But maybe they had to change things they wanted to, because Marvel was struggling with FX at the time. They were really struggling at that time. What if Marvel had made Ant-Man Quantumania and Thor Love and Thunder as animated movies? They both feature villains and worlds that may have benefited from the change. It's hard to do gore in live action.
I feel it would have benefited from like gore being in another movie.
It would have benefited if they, I mean,
Like, so then you get it flushed out.
Picture it being animated, but also picture them not having the junk with Sony where they can actually use the Venom symbiote stuff along Knoll stuff with it.
I mean, that would work, but...
And then you have to go animated, because, like, I think Venom just in general works better animated. Personally,
I liked Venom.
To be honest, Ant-Man Quantumania fits this a little better than Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Because Quantumania's so kind of out there where they're in the quantum realm and all this stuff. And I don't know. I think those movies both suffer from not taking, they're a little too safe, I think. They don't take enough like real chances, especially with the villains. And maybe going animated helps them get more courage. I also thought of the original trilogy of Star Wars. I think like doing it animated all of a sudden takes off the table the special effects.
Yeah.
You can make the special effects however you want to make them look. And then, maybe, and then I think people would like that. The other one I wanted to point out that came to my mind was The Dark Tower. Stephen King stories. It's a sprawling epic in this huge feeling world. But the 2017 movie crunched it into 95 minutes. And most of it takes place in the real world, which, why bother? And so I just think adult targeted animation could have embraced the kind of sprawling nature of those books.
So as someone that hadn't read all 17 books, that 90 minutes was pretty enjoyable.
I mean,
but I think you either have to make it into a series
but it's going to be an expensive series.
Oh yeah,
animation makes it cheap.
Like Game of Thrones is essentially like you're having to bankroll this and hope that everyone their mom tunes in.
Yeah. Bonus question from one Jackson Chauncey. When are we getting that Ernest episode?
I was wondering if that got brought up.
I will say it right now. You can count on this, Jackson. Be Kind Rewind in the Christmas season. Ernest Saves Christmas. Book it.
So not Ernest Goes to Africa?
Is that a real
Cody,
movie?
that movie
Ernest
isn't.
Goes to
Those
camp?
copies have all been destroyed and buried with the E.T. Atari cartridges.
Ernest Goes to Camp is a classic.
It is. I finally got that blind spot cured not too long ago.
There was a Halloween one.
Ernest Scared Stupid.
But yep. So
Ernest Goes to School, Slam Dunk Ernest, Ernest Goes to Jail.
Even though Ernest Goes to jail so bad, dude. Even though Ernest...
He plays two roles. He was a previous day Michael B. Jordan, Dave.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He was.
Well, look, there's no arguing that man was talented. He was talented. Jim Varney,
Slinky Dog,
super talented dude.
Cook from Atlantis.
his Shakespeare clips that circulate. Really good.
Yeah. But Ernest Goes to Camp's a classic, but I just think Ernest Saves Christmas is the best. That's my personal.
I couldn't remember if we had done an episode over it or if we had just mentioned it in holiday rotations.
I think we just mentioned it. We've never done a Be Kind Rewind fully on it. I'm afraid it's not going to hold up very well, but
It's in my Christmas rotation. We're good.
all right.
We're good.
Book it. That's when it's happening. All right, everybody. Make sure and be on the lookout for lobby posts. Ask us anything posts, and you can get on your question answered by us. And we'll see you next time.